Dave Aiken. I work in the collaborative software group at Cisco WebEx. Cisco purchased WebEx last spring, and I work in our consulting solutions group. And what I do is help companies put together business models where they can achieve their business goals, and through that, they end up using Cisco products and services. Today, we'll be talking about how my group does a lot of different types of business process analysis. One of the largest areas is in the area of e-learning, both for companies and for universities, schools, institutes of higher learning. Collaborating online, both live online and self-paced in various modes. So there are a lot of issues today. Distance learning, people traveling, the cost of gasoline, certainly, but also areas of recruiting, retention. How can you give the student a better experience? And how can you do that by using interactive techniques on the web? And so I'll be discussing some of those. And there's a couple of different ways to look at this. You could look at, well, how do you use various web products to help the educational process? Or you can look at, well, how would you use this? There are different use models. So I tried to organize it in a way that makes sense for a university community. I classified these uses into three categories: one-to-one, small groups, and one-to-many. For one-to-one, I mean, certainly having an instant meeting, and we could bring up a meeting here in about 30 seconds, and for one to thousands of people if we wanted to. But rather than that, I thought I'd discuss why would you want to do these different use models. So instant meetings, there's certainly a lot of different reasons for doing that. Having both from a faculty to a student perspective within groups of students, one to each other. Tutoring, would it be useful to have, rather than going into an office hour session, being able to do that online rather than physically driving somewhere, walking somewhere, going into an office at a particular time, just being able to maybe instant message your professor and say, I've got a problem with this paper, I'm having an issue, can you take a look at it? And being able to bring up that document live and potentially showing that student what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and just kind of helping them learn that way. Also application help. A lot of times people, we've heard today already that sometimes it's difficult to get people to adopt technology. So when they're, and a lot of these technologies require running a program or programming an interface, and some people accept that easier than others. If there's a way to physically bring up a window and show them how to do it, or do that with them jointly, they'll just get over that hump a lot faster and feel a lot more comfortable and learn a lot faster. So by showing, being able to execute that interface within, or that application within an interactive interface. Also, small groups. If you have a lot of universities have large classes, and then they break up into smaller sections. If you're able to break up, have an online environment where you can either break up the session into smaller groups virtually, so you may have a session of maybe a course of 300 people, and you may have a session of 30, and then within that group of 30 you could break that up into groups of 3 to 5 virtually online. And one useful thing about the technology we have at Cisco WebEx is the audio is integrated, so you're able to not just say, you 3 people meet in this room, but their phone lines and their or their voice over IP lines automatically trail into that room, and so they can go off, do a small project, collaborate, and then come back into the room with an answer. So virtually, like they were in a classroom, walked over to the next room and came back, they can do that virtually online. And then share within their own environments, all separately and privately. So breakout sessions, learning and project teams. A little bit about my background. I've been teaching online at University of Phoenix for about 5.5 years, so I've had quite a bit of experience both online and on ground teaching business students. And one of the main tenets of the program is that people work in small groups, and in every class you have to get together in small groups and do projects. So one of the biggest, say, complaints, or one of the biggest challenges is how do you do that either in a face-to-face or in a virtual environment. If it's face-to-face, you drive somewhere and meet. If it's in a virtual environment, maybe you use instant messaging, or you all get together at a certain time and have a phone call. Well, if you can get together in a breakout session, edit a document or a PowerPoint presentation, talk to each other, it's just a lot more effective, a lot faster, and a lot more learning happens. So it's very effective for small groups. In fact, I've got a session for an MBA class this Saturday I'm having with my students. There are about 20 in a class, and we're getting together and going to go through some breakout sessions and help them with their final projects. So one-to-many. There are situations where you may want to, you have an event, or you want to reach a lot of people all at once. And we've seen some of the sessions, and they're being broadcast here. What if you want to, you have, say, graduation, or maybe a sporting event or something like that? Those types of events can be run through Cisco WebEx interface as well, where similar to what's in the room here, we provide camera crews and production assistance and content production for a large event. And so it's sent out over the internet through a customized interface. There's some user interaction where people can chat in questions to a speaker. You can have speakers in multiple locations, integrated video, slides, pictures, and so on. I've had two groups in the last month of doctors, one for heart surgery, one for laser eye surgery, where they've had detailed diagrams, and then they've also had like a tablet PC whiteboard, and so they're drawing pictures on the eyes and showing where they're doing the surgery on the heart and so on. And so they've got a combination of multimedia within an event, and they're reaching about 1,000, 2,000 people all at the same time. Also, that includes very high quality video, so you can, so it keeps the attention of the audience as well. So, I mean, YouTube is great, but if you really want to have an impact on an audience, the better the quality of the video, gives you more impact. So, what are the major groups within a university environment? Certainly faculty, administration, students, parents, alumni, and then the IT and the outside community. I like that term this morning, town to gown. That was, it kind of says it all. I mean, how do you engage the community in the university? Certainly, you talked about already having office hours. Also, interactive document editing and sharing. It's pretty powerful. I don't know how many meetings any of you might have sat in. I know I've sat in a lot of them where, okay, let's all, on a conference call with just the audio, let's all turn to page 3. I'm on the 3rd paragraph, the 2nd line. It just takes a lot longer, and it's a lot harder to stay engaged. Again, this is a way to, try to do things together where you've got a group of people, or maybe just one-on-one. Guest faculty, subject matter experts, you may be doing some research. You can bring someone in to talk to your class, from another state, another continent, another university. Just a way to, again, share information, and then, of course, you in turn can go back and share that. Working with a concert, a concert hall on the East Coast, and I'm not allowed to mention the name yet, but they do a series of musical events, educational events, where they have other universities, sometimes high schools, and they have a collaborative event. So you have a camera and a big screen in one location, another camera and a big screen in another location, maybe 3 locations. They can all see each other, and there's a set of musical experts that critique. So one group plays, and then the experts critique. The experts can be in multiple locations, and then then they stop playing, they get their critique, and then the other group plays, and so they rotate around. It's like a day-long event. So again, they're on different continents and collaborating with high-quality sound and high-quality video. You mentioned running applications, recordings. Everything that's done through the interface can be recorded. I know I've talked to, I've had a lot of meetings where we've recorded. You can convert that recording into an iPod format, into Windows Media, and post it. So you want to record lectures, and record notes, and a lot of people are doing that already. Again, you can do that through the interface. It's all built in. And then research, if you have a collaborative group where you're working on something, on a topic in multiple locations, that's something that you can certainly use for research. Administration, if you have recruiting events. I know a lot of campuses, and we even saw one this morning in one of the presentations about a virtual campus tour. What if you go through a virtual campus tour and also have an interactive session, so maybe you play part of it in the video, then you switch and answer questions right away. It can be very effective recruiting. Also, if you are recruiting, we saw that the campus population is very high right now in terms of competitiveness and the generation that's out now. But also, students are applying to multiple schools, and so they. If you want to make sure you get the right ones in, you may admit more than you want, and then you have to track the ones that you want to attend your school and follow up. Following up in an interactive environment is a good way to keep them engaged. And registration, helping people register for classes, interdepartment meetings within, say, the English department, and everybody has to meet at a certain time, so fairly straightforward. Learning management systems, we have several, we've got a couple of examples later on, but we've got schools that have tied having online learning into a learning management system, who's taken a class, who's signed up for a class, where are they in progress, and so on. Not only as a separate learning management system that we can provide, or if they already have one, it can interface to that as well with score and compliancy. And certainly safety, getting information out through collaboration and interactive parts of the interface. You can reach a lot of people very quickly. Student activities. One thing we talked about is we heard this morning was affinity groups, birds of a feather. If you have a group of people that want to meet, or a club or something, they certainly can meet. One thing that's integrated into what we offer is instant messaging and workspace interface. So a lot of times you'll have large files or multiple files. We've heard that you can, at least in one of the sessions, about setting up iTunes and YouTube and so on, and some take a lot more programming than others. Essentially, within about 10-15 seconds, you can set up a workspace where people can share and collaborate and store files and access them. And what's great about this, it's very virtual. You can set one up. If a course is 10 or 12 weeks, you set it up, and then after maybe 3 or 4 weeks after the class, you can eliminate it or move it off or store it. So it's just so easy to use. It really makes collaborating and sharing documents a lot easier than it has been before. Plus, people don't have to learn how to FTP, because some people are uncomfortable with that. And again, team collaboration and course materials and file transfers. Reaching parents and alumni. I know there's an event at one of the places I went to school every fall, and I'm never able to go because it's always on a bad weekend. But fortunately, they're using some of our technology to stream some of the activities. So that's one thing that I can participate and not necessarily have to be there. Things like sporting events too. You can put that on the web. Fundraising and following up. Also parent communication. A lot of issues. I know my daughter was a graduate assistant at University of Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, and her biggest issue was managing the parents and making sure they didn't get her cell phone number. And how's my kid? How are they doing? A lot of them were freshmen and sophomores, and there were a lot of issues with the students. And so being able to address, have a parent meeting so they could get to everybody all at once. So that was very effective, what they were able to use. And finally, reaching the community, IT student support help desks, running a help desk throughout the system, applications, connectivity. A lot of students either can't get certain applications to run, taking over their desktop, helping them run that, running a help desk. Reaching students that are far away on distance learning, reaching people in the community, having meetings that they can bring in people from the outside, and outreach programs, reaching people that that may have internet access, but maybe not a lot of other resources. So giving them some opportunities to take classes or at least get involved and learn something. Again, very straightforward to use. If you're setting up a program, it has to be easily adopted. All of our interfaces are set up so you can start them with a one-click. Starting a meeting, very easy to share documents. We have the concept of passing the ball, where if I'm controlling a meeting, within about 2 seconds, someone else can be controlling and sharing, even jointly editing a document at the same time, kind of like a wiki editing, but live. And so it can be very useful. running applications together, again, helping people do registration, helping with admissions, the interactive tours of the school. Also, student collaboration, the idea of setting up a workspace very quickly, and being able to record a meeting and having instant meetings. One thing that seems to be the world's getting smaller. I'm in a PhD program right now. I'm getting a PhD in collaboration, mostly to help businesses work with businesses work with countries internationally, so they can be successful from a business point of view, but also be respectful of local culture and how to keep that working together and collaborate across countries and cultures. And one issue is localization. So having an interface that works in multiple languages simultaneously is something we have over 12 languages that are supported, and so one person can be in one language, the other person can be in another language, as well as being able to create content and being able to support a multiple language interface. I have one company that we're doing an e-learning program, and it's in English and Spanish. And so we're putting together a series of 12 courses, and they're both languages. As far as the small groups goes, one of the interesting thing is you can break out into sessions I mentioned before. There's live video along with that, and that can you get a lot more interactive feel when you've got live video. And again, the document sharing is great for tutoring. It's great for small groups and so on. Again, that's built into the interface. And you can have one thing about the actual software, and we heard about that good content makes cool equipment, hot, I guess was the quote. A lot of what we help people do is not so much be able to use the software, but also create the content. If someone's taking like a PowerPoint presentation or some kind of learning material and then just saying, okay, we're going to do this on the web. Well, if they don't really think about how to do that correctly and learn the best practices, and you may not get the best kind of learning online. It may not be that effective. A long time ago, people used to send letters, and the idea that you have to go somewhere. I guess the very first messenger, right, with a marathon, they ran 26 miles and the guy died. Well, he got the message across. But then later on, people would write letters, and somehow it was okay that they didn't physically have to go there. So you have like the Pony Express. Someone could write a letter, go across the country, you'd get a message. Well, now messages are instant, but how do you get that? Somehow you could get your feeling across in a letter, and you can write letters, but you did it in a different way. You'd write a letter differently than you talk to someone face to face. And in the same way, any kind of e-learning interface has to have that understanding when you're putting the material together as well, because it just doesn't come across the same way. It can be very, very effective, but some of our, get a picture of it later, but some of our programs are specialized in one called Training Center, and that has special interfaces in there to help get that interactivity and that feeling and that understanding across, and give instructors some techniques in order to keep that interactivity. What we got here is a one-to-many, again through a customized skin interface, where we get a combination of PowerPoint slides and live video, live high-quality video. And again, it's fully customizable. It can have the entire window be video and the entire window be PowerPoints and audio. What's interesting is when these kind of events come on, you can kind of see in the corner, there's a few tabs. You can have instructor bios, speaker bios, documents available, so people get kind of a whole package. So when they watch that event, everything you want them to get is all there. They don't have to go to a website later on or whatever. So, and again, it has a built-in interactive chat interface, so people can ask questions and get back to, and they can answer the questions live. And one thing, it's interesting, it will support over, I think the most we had so far is 100,000 people online, but it's a very wide area broadcast. And specifically in e-learning, some of the other techniques I was talking about, and kind of see in the corner there, I mean, breakout sessions I mentioned before, we can break out a group into smaller groups. You also take polls, quizzing, ask the class, what do you think about this? Rather than putting something on paper, you could be filling out a survey live and then broadcast to the class, I think this part of the subject was great. No, I thought this part was terrible. I mean, I wish we spend more time on the first part. And then interactively, you can adjust your presentation. There are a lot of techniques for that. Quizzing, polling, and games, and so on. And one thing I've got up there is a mind map program. Is one thing we use a lot of, and we have people. It helps with interactivity. If you're taking notes or you want to make sure that people are understanding what you're doing by taking notes interactively in front of everyone. They say, no, I didn't mean that. I meant that, or that person's name is spelled wrong, or you can kind of correct each other, and it really helps reach the final goal a lot faster. So let's see. Another point is that with respect to e-learning is a lot of this, you have to think of what mode people are going to be learning in. Are you replacing an instructor face-to-face with an instructor live online, or are you offering these courses in a self-paced mode, or both? So what we do is try to help people create the material so it can be used in both modes. Because, again, if you're engaging somebody, at least live online, you're hearing a voice. Well, if you're in a self-paced mode, you probably have some kind of media, video, PowerPoint with a voiceover, but then what kind of interactivity do you put in there to keep the student engaged? So we help people set that up. In fact, we have both Cisco and WebEx universities that have a lot of the self-paced content based on those theories. One thing that a lot of schools are concerned about is improving the student experience. So, I mean, certainly giving them easier ways to get their work done faster will improve the student experience. One faculty can reach more students at once. One student can reach more faculty and other students. Schools are using this as a differentiator because people are very busy, especially depending what your student population is. You may be looking at, like you said, the generation 24 and under that have a certain certain characteristics and internet background. And then what about working adults? A lot of people go back to school. They can't always go to class at the same time. They need something self-paced. They need something on non-working hours. And they need to make the experience as easy as possible. They don't have time to take off and go collaborate with the team. They want to be able to do that on their own time. So a lot of these techniques, we help people set up programs that are good for adult learners as well as younger student learners. And people drop out because classes are too hard. By making it easier for them, they increase their retention and graduation rates. And it really helps to leverage faculty. I know when you're teaching, you really want to reach as many people as possible, but everybody's really busy today. So how can an instructor reach as many people as they can most efficiently? So, and reach a wider audience. So you mentioned a lot of what we've talked about here. I mean, live online, a synchronous mode, asynchronous, self-paced, or maybe it's more like a bulletin board or a discussion group. So there's a lot of different ways to put learning together. And so one of the things that we do is go into a school and or university and kind of say, what are your goals? What kind of audience are you trying to reach? What are the types of people who are going to be in this learning program, and make recommendations for that. So it's really a combination of everything. It can be very effective. Some of the schools that we have activity going on now, we've got a wide range of schools, and we've got some case studies too. We can both on paper and online. In fact, there are quite a few case studies online. Everything from if you look at it, we're helping people take, just as a snapshot of what's up here, virtual office hours, student support, taking whole classes online in an online environment, breaking up into small discussion groups. I mentioned the support, emergency services, being able to reach a lot of people at once, combining that with the instant messaging, the collaboration, being able to set up work groups so classes and groups of students can share documents. Really a wide range of pretty much everything I've said, including broadcasting graduation and major events on campus. Here's specific examples, and then we've got customers, different groups within all these organizations who are using Cisco WebEx to help their schools. So they said, well, what's next? What's the future? You know, we have instant work groups now, but it's even going to get it more instant. It's just even more easier to use. How do you set up classes? You know, virtual classes, they won't take, you know, a week or two to set up. I mean, you can set up a class or a course, you know, in a few minutes. You know, not just, you know, the collaboration side, but also the course materials and so on. We talked about, you know, some of the materials belong to the people giving the instructions. So, you know, even the course material is going to be virtual as opposed to being in a set textbook. By the time a textbook is put up, a good chunk of it is obsolete or gets obsolete very quickly. So how do you keep that fresh? So courses and classes will be virtual and instant. You know, the one-click meetings, just everything will be just, I want to do this right now. You know, click on something, be able to bring up the software and the interface. The remote team collaboration, being able to bring in students who are not local, who are apart, bringing in the instructors, bringing in the subject matter experts, but just setting that up within an organization so it runs more efficiently and can come up to speed right sooner than later. Building that into the course interface. You know, I'm taking courses right now. There's a Blackboard interface. There's a chat built into it. No one ever uses the chat because no one ever knows who's going to be on at a certain time. So you never really have any collaboration because there's no methodology for it. Again, setting up a methodology so people will collaborate and implementing that. Desktop and wireless collaboration devices, within a year or two, you'll be able to have full video on a portable BlackBerry-like device and that plug into a meeting. I mean, that'll truly be an instant meeting. And so that's technology that's coming, and we've got fast enough internet right now. I know this morning we saw a session and you know, with integrated voice over IP and video, and to be honest, I haven't seen a session that ran that slow before. It was a WebEx session, but typically the video is very synchronous or synchronized with the voice. And really, I've never seen it where they have gaps like that before, either voice over IP or with phone audio. So, but again, that's. You know, I ran a meeting on Monday with video and voice. Well, it didn't have voice over IP; it had video, and from a coffee shop, and it was typical Wi-Fi, and it ran just fine. So it really depends on and maybe their internet interface is overloaded or something. But certainly the technology is there right now on a wireless in a wireless network. And what do you need? Well, typically, it can look, you have a really effective meeting at about 300K download, 500K if you're using the video, then you won't really see any issues with the video. Telepresence and green initiatives, being able to reach, I don't know if people have seen telepresence, but Cisco has this technology, is very high quality video conferencing, and maybe you've seen a TV commercial where a soldier in Iraq talks to his family in a tent, and it's very high quality. That's Cisco Telepresence. I was in an event over on Saturday at a hospital where they had people diagnosed remotely via telepresence. There's a booth, and it has measurements for your vital signs. That integrated with high quality video. You know, doctors are diagnosing people who are in remote areas who have internet access but no doctors. So, you know, those types of then green initiatives. How can you have fewer meetings that you have to drive to, or, you know, cut back on travel and other environmental issues. So certainly having interactive meetings will reduce that. And, you know, rather than you know, actually showing something, we thought that, you know, there's so many different things you can show, and we really didn't have that much time, so we want to just give an overview of what potentially you know, affects the e-learning or has to do with the e-learning environment, and if there were any questions that we certainly could you know, demonstrate any of the things I've talked about, you know, to you. So are there any questions?
High definition video?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I say yes, it depends on the interface, but yeah, we can support high definition video. In fact, one of the use models for a hospital, they want very, very detailed, another organization, very, very detailed heart diagrams. And so they, you know, and then they've got X-rays, and they put the X-rays on kind of a platen, and that it's almost like an overhead projector, but that plugs into a PC, and then we can broadcast that in high def.